In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, peace, mercy and blessings of Allah be upon you. I am Olivert James and this is the narrator's program. Since I opened this video, you want to know what is this circle of magic? And before all this, do you want to know if this story is true or not? Well, I will not say if the story is true or not. You will say it. And do not forget to say the reason. After you finish the story, and I am sure that after you finish it completely, you will not say in the first quarter if it is true or not. Listen to the end, ready to be inspired by real events, for example. Let's start. It is stupid to think that you are capable of everything, and to think that you will be able to control anything that happens to you. The idea that you are strong, and that there is no two of you is a stupid and wrong idea. And the first person to discover that it is wrong is you personally. Just because you reject the idea that there are other beings other than you, and that there are worlds that you do not know anything about, and that you do not know anything about these beings, and you try to mock the idea and reject it without reading or searching or knowing more. The idea that you are obstinate and think and try to see or hear something that you do not have to see or hear or cross your limits is an idea that will not destroy anyone but you. We always pay the price for our delusional activities. But this time, the price is very expensive. This time, the price is death. There were 4 of us. 4 crazy, obstinate, and delusional friends. Ahmed, Hisham, Abdullah, and Majid. We were friends for 10 years. Hisham was a horror fanatic. He used to read a lot of horror stories and strange novels. And he used to listen to stories that were full of horror and ghosts and hauntings. This was his hobby. Honestly, it was a very strange hobby for me. Yes, he was like you. He used to watch horror movies, and there was not a novel of this kind until he bought it and read it. Hisham, out of his obsession, used to try to get old books that talked about magic and ghosts in detail. At first, it starts with curiosity, love of knowledge and curiosity. But then it turns into love, that you get to know more and more. And then the disaster happens. The disaster is that curiosity makes you try to enter this world or claim it. Hisham convinced us to try to do rituals with him. And he told us that if we do these rituals correctly, we will get a ghost that will fulfill all our wishes. We were all naive, and we wanted to try anything new to break our boredom and routine. We agreed to meet in Hisham's villa, and the 4 of us sat in a circle. And one of the conditions was that we hold each other's hands so that this circle would close. And no matter what happens, we will hold each other's hands, so that it will be safer and stronger for us. We were doing what Hisham said without understanding anything. We were just trying to have fun. He kept repeating the incantation, and drawing strange patterns inside the circle we were sitting in. And he closed all the lights and lit a lot of candles. And he sat with us in the circle and kept repeating the incantation, and we kept repeating it behind him. Strange and incomprehensible words, but we kept repeating it behind him. We were waiting for the ghost to come out and tell us, look at this, look at that, and the movies came and the candle and this religion. We were very confused and didn't realize how dangerous what we were doing. But no matter how much you understand and realize what you are doing, and how dangerous it is or you don't understand, it won't matter. Because you have really crossed your limits and claimed creatures that you can't handle. And you can't afford to hurt them. Not everyone who prepares for a party knows how to waste it. We all felt that the place was moving beneath us, as if an earthquake was happening. We weren't allowed to let go of each other's hands. And we weren't allowed to open our eyes, and we weren't allowed to stop repeating the incantation behind him. We started to feel that a strong wind was entering the room we were in. Although all the doors and windows were closed, we started to hear strange, incomprehensible sounds. Everyone started to hear someone whispering, but in incomprehensible and strange words. We finished reading the incantation and opened our eyes. We all screamed as soon as we opened our eyes. We screamed, and our balance fell and we fell to the ground. And we went to sleep. It was one dream and we all dreamed it. Your companion will replace another companion. You will live a life that is not yours. And your end will be lived by another creature. and you will die as you died in the worst way possible. I prepared a spirit that will torment you all your life. Did anyone understand anything? A sentence that we didn't understand anything from. But the strange thing is that we all dreamed that someone was telling us this sentence. And we all memorized this sentence as if we heard it a million times. And when we tried to ask each other what made us scream as soon as we opened our eyes and started to see each other, the terrifying answer was that each of us saw his companion in other forms other than their forms. Can you imagine sitting with people and closing your eyes and opening them? You find yourself sitting with other people. No, and they also look scary and terrifying. We decided to leave the village of Hesham quickly and forget everything that happened. As if it was a game and we failed. But after that day, our whole life turned upside down. Who do you like to hear the story of first? I will tell you the story of Majid, for example. Majid, the first person in our life, died. But it didn't end that easily. Majid started to hear voices and see a lot of illusions. His behavior started to become abnormal. He was always angry and said incomprehensible words. He also started to tell us that he sees a person every time he enters his room. A person, or as you say, a black, big, terrifying imagination. And he is the one who always wakes him up from sleep. He sees this imagination and hears whispers around him as if there is more than one person. He started to see signs of whispers and words appear on his body the first time he wakes up from sleep. He started to hear a scream and a loud voice, but with incomprehensible words. He didn't even know how to distinguish anything from him that he heard. And he would be safe if he stayed at home because of his family's travel. Or he had to travel alone and stay in any place where no one was with him. He sees the shadow of a long and wide person. He approaches him and laughs hysterically and loudly. You are not used to it, so you will get what you deserve. This is the sentence that Majid always heard. And this shadow used to tell him and then disappear. To be honest, we didn't believe Majid very much. We were all fine and nothing had happened to him. We thought maybe he was depressed. Or maybe he had some problems at that time. And we also thought maybe someone did something to him or something crazy. But we never believed that this could be because of the black magic that we all did. And this didn't occur to us because we simply didn't happen anything. And we don't see illusions, or we don't dream of nightmares, or all these empty words that Majid lived. We used to rely on what they say between us and each other, without him being there. But you know what's scary? There is not a single word we say to Majid until we meet him the next day and he knows it. And when we ask him, how did you know? He tells us, I heard you. I was almost with you. With us? With us how? We are only the three of us without you. He laughs and says, what do you say? I almost became deaf. His words started to be scary. And he started not to say anything to anyone so that no one would belittle his words or lie to him. He didn't want to put himself in this situation so that he wouldn't lose us. Because if every time you tell me about painful things, and you see them and you live them and they scare you and they frighten you, and in the end they don't believe you, this could make you cut off your relationship with me. And this is what Majid was trying not to do. He wasn't talking so that he wouldn't lose us. He started to dream of very annoying nightmares. Or they weren't nightmares, but a nightmare that repeated every day. He used to dream every day that he was being buried alive. And he wished that someone was burying him or torturing him or wanting to kill him in this way. But no, this is what he dreams every day, that he goes down to an open grave and sits in the middle of the corpses, which all of a sudden opens its eyes and you sit and look at it for a very long time. And then they attack him and kill him. Majid, by the way, didn't tell anyone about this dream. But these words and details are written in his diary. The diaries that he used to keep in a very special place in his house, so that no one would open them or read what was written in them. And this is what Majid used to do a long time ago. He used to like to write his diaries without showing them to anyone. Let's read the words from his diaries instead of talking about them. I've had a month of ups and downs in my life. My life has become very scary and ridiculous. I don't know what I've done to deserve this. Even my friends tell me maybe someone did something to you. They deny everything I say. And honestly, they are right. If it wasn't for someone telling me what I'm saying, I wouldn't believe it. But these idiots are not convinced that all this is because of the stupid game we played about a month and a half ago. And it was Hisham who suggested it to us. I argued with them that no one has done anything to him, and that they don't see what I see. So, of course, this game is not the reason. But I'm sure that what's happening to me is because of this stupid game. I don't forgive you, Hisham, for this black spot. And it doesn't mean anything to me. If what's happening to me is because of the game, then it really doesn't mean anything to me. They're all good players. And then what's this scary nightmare? I'm afraid to sleep because I don't want to see the same scene every day. I'm walking down the cemetery with my legs open, and I'm sitting in the middle of the bodies that suddenly decide to get up from their sleep and sit next to me. And they keep looking at me and suddenly they kill me. And you throw the dirt next to them and it closes and no one feels it. And no one knows that someone came in and died. In general, if this happened, they would know that I died. I mean, if you suddenly looked at me and didn't find me, or you suddenly found me and disappeared, know that this scenario really happened. I have a very strong feeling that my end will be in this scene. But I don't know how I'll be in my mind when I'm going down to the open cemetery with all my willpower. In general, if this happens, you'll find me in my family's cemetery. This is what I always see in the dream I dream. Or in other words, the worst nightmare that has no explanation. This was part of Majid's memoirs. But do you know what is the strangest thing about these memoirs? That this is not Majid's line at all. All the memoirs are written in a line, and this part is in another line. And all the memoirs are about his life, his family, his job, us, and the girl he loves. These are very ordinary memoirs and have nothing to do with what he says. And all of them have old dates, except for this part. This part is the only part that talks about what he sees and dreams of. This part is really not his line. Majid really died. He died and we didn't know he was dead until about 10 days later. When he suddenly disappeared and we couldn't find him, we found out that his family didn't know anything about him either. His family thought he was traveling with us on any of our many trips. We were worried about him. Unfortunately, we didn't know how to reach him. Coincidentally, one of his brothers searched Majid's office until he found these memoirs. And then they called us to come immediately and go to their family's graves, to make sure of what was written in these memoirs. And indeed, when we went and asked the dustman if there was any open dust in the last 2 weeks, we found the dustman saying, yes, there was open dust. Or more accurately, an old grave. He had opened it to clean it so that it would be easy to use after that. We opened the grave he was talking about, and we went down. We saw Majid, but his face was black, and all the signs of terror and horror were on his face and eyes. We saw a body, and it started to decompose, and his body was eating slowly. If we go back to the memoirs, we will find that the writing of the last words you just heard was 2 weeks before his disappearance. This means that the words were written almost a month ago. This is not the problem. The problem is that if you flip through the memoirs page by page, you will find it completely empty until you find a sentence written in today's history. The sentence said, "The role will come to each one of you. The role is yours no matter how much you run away. Everyone will die without mercy. Every infant that enters deserves to die." This letter is also written in the same line that Majid wrote the last thing, in which he talks about what he sees and dreams of. Who wrote it? This is not Majid's line. This is a line like a small child in elementary school who is still learning to write. And then what role will come to each one of us? Who meant this? Who is the small child that the memoirs say about him? And most importantly, who wrote today's history? Abdullah, may God destroy your house, brother. You destroyed us all and we will go to hell because of you. Hisham. And what about me, Abdullah? I am not like you. And why are you saying this? What did I do to you? Ahmed. No, wait a minute. You are the one who made us play this stupid game. The memoirs say that everything that happened to Majid was because of your game and your madness. And the letter that was written in today's history says that the role is coming to us. The role is coming to every small child. Which is us. Of course, we don't need intelligence. Hisham. Majid was in our midst and he used to say that he saw and heard things and you used to laugh at him. And when he said that what happened to him was because of my stupid and crazy game, you used to say no because nothing happened to him. Why did the words change suddenly? Ahmed, it changed because one of us died. Dula, the memoirs say that everyone has a role. That's why it was very normal for us to say that we didn't happen anything. And that our life was really normal and there was nothing. And why is that? Because the role was on Majid. The memoirs say that the role is coming to everyone. And Majid died. Look at the role that is coming to whom? Ahmed, listen, Hisham. You have to explain to us what was the purpose of your stupid game. Or what do you get out of it? And you fooled us and told us that it was just a game. You told us that we will see an obedient jinn and he will fulfill all our commands. And we were stupid and trusted you. We believed you. With this gift, we understood what happened. And with this gift, explain to us what exactly happened to Majid. Aren't you Abu al-Yuraif, who repeats the taweez and draws the talisman and reads the books of Dajjal and your nonsense? So answer what I say. Hisham, don't stop us, old man. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. This was really a stupid experiment to make a jinn fulfill our demands. I really didn't do anything and I didn't hide anything from you. And I don't understand what's going on or how Majid died and what happened to him. Ahmed, any one of us will have something happen to him. Hisham will be because of you. Majid's blood is in your neck. And you are waiting for death too. The poison cook is tasting it. Since Majid died, we haven't seen each other again. The last thing between us was this big fight. In short, the turn came to Ahmed. Ahmed was suddenly diagnosed with a very rare and dangerous disease. No one knew what had happened to him, nor did the doctors know how he got this disease. When we heard the news, we went to him. But they prevented us from visiting him. They say that his immune system has become very weak, and any microbe or virus could really kill him. He stayed like this for about 2 months. It is forbidden for anyone to see him for 2 months. Except from a glass of water, to keep him healthy. All the doctors said that his condition was not stable, and there was no improvement. He was able to get the miracle day and night, and come back to normal again. Between us, we knew that he would not recover from it again. We knew that this was the end, and that it was really his turn. His family had great hope, but that was because they did not know anything. They did not know that the disease he had was a means to death, not more. What a joke of life. It's my turn, guys, isn't it? Look, I don't care if it's my turn or if I die. The only thing that matters to me is that I'm suffering to die. My whole body is tired, and every now and then, tears appear in my body. Yes, that's right. I don't dream. Honestly, I wish I could dream so that it would just be a nightmare. One day, a man came to me. He looked very strange and creepy. He was wearing a long black jacket, and a long black beard with a scary look. At first, I was afraid of him, but believe me, if I told you, you would get used to it. He asked me, instead of me, is it forbidden to visit him at the end of my days? He doesn't speak. He keeps looking at me like that, and that's it. He doesn't say a single word. I'm embarrassed. The places are changing, and each one of us takes his own place. Does anyone understand anything? Does he mean that he will take my place and I will wear the black jacket and put on a long beard, for example? I tried to ask him to understand me more, or to explain anything to me. He didn't speak. It was very boring, guys, I swear. He doesn't torture me or scare me, and he keeps going like that and coming, and this creepy atmosphere, not at all. Sitting, silent, he doesn't say a single word. I wish the hospital would have banned the creepiness from the visit, because I started to get bored of it. The important thing is that I know how I will die, and I have to write the method for you like Majid wrote. I will die a suicide. I will go to the hospital at night and commit suicide. I don't know what's the point of this method or why I don't die now, and that's it. or why it wasn't written for me to commit suicide in our house instead of this plot. And I don't know why I got tired of a rare disease when in the end, it's not because of the disease but because of the suicide. It's a horrible thing, and it doesn't have any real answer. But the creepy, boring man who came to sit with her told me that I will die like this. Generally, you will wake up one day to a phone call from the hospital telling you that I committed suicide. I wish I could commit suicide as soon as possible because the disease is spreading in my body in a disturbing way, and I really got tired. This is the message they found in Ahmed's room after he committed suicide. But still, the line is not his line. When Ahmed got tired like this, he refused to let anyone come in and see him. There was no other way than the answers because the network in the hospital was a bit bad, and he couldn't communicate with anyone through the messages on the different communication sites. So there was no other way than to write answers and receive answers after they were thoroughly sanitized. His family, when they applied the line in the message which they found in the room in the hospital with all the messages and answers they received from him, they found that the line was completely different. But we knew who this line belonged to. This line is the same line that he wrote in Majid's memoirs. The line of the little child, who is still learning how to read a new book. And the scene was repeated, but in a scary way. After Ahmed was buried and we finished the funeral, we found a message on WhatsApp sent from him in the group chat which the 4 of us were in. And there were only 2 of us left. It was written, "I'm close to someone among you who will get me. Come on, I'm waiting. Dula, who do you think we are?" Hisham, did you read the message that you sent from Ahmed's cell phone to WhatsApp? Yes, I read it. What kind of cell phone do you have? Do you know who sent it? Could it be one of his brothers who sent the message with his cell phone? Ahmed's cell phone is in my pocket. The truth is that Abdullah could not bear this situation. He thought it would be better to go to death on his own feet than to wait for death in an ugly way. He was thinking about committing suicide in every possible way, but he did not have the courage to do it and commit suicide. There was no other way but to take his car in the middle of the night and drive it very fast. He thought he would get rid of himself. He was waiting for anything to happen or for the car to turn and die and get rid of all the nerves in life. But life does not always go our way. Life has never gone anyone's way. Abdullah was going down with the aim of dying and resting so that the accident would happen and his fate would be decided. But suddenly, out of nowhere, one of his bones appeared walking on his feet. Surely you can imagine the scene, right? At the crazy speed that Abdullah was driving, the man whose bones appeared suddenly took off and killed him. And of course, at the top of his speed, he arrested Abdullah and was imprisoned. He could not speak a word. He knew it was the end. But this was a wrong killing and therefore he would not be executed. How would he die? He did not know. He was running away from the idea of waiting for death until it came to him. He shortened the distance and decided to go to death on his own feet. But it seems that we no longer have the power to decide, and that there is a doomed plan that we are following, either by our own will or by force. Abdullah was imprisoned and sentenced to prison. All of this is normal and natural. All of this was not Abdullah's business. What was his business was the end. How and when will the end be? Or is the role now not on him and me? Of course, you know who I am, right? I am Hesham, the owner of the idea or the crazy game that all of my friends died because of it while I was still alive. I forgot to tell you that Abdullah also died. He died when my car was turned over and caught fire. But he died without leaving any mysterious and strange messages for me. Now I am the one who has the role. The role is not coming one by one. Of course, my end will be more difficult than the 3 of them, because I am the one who suggested this game and I am the one who designed it. And I am the one who used to say the excuses and they used to repeat after me. And I was the one who drew the lines. I am the one who entered the world, or I crashed and became a child of the world, not from the right to enter it at all. Of course, the ones who took revenge on me until the end to take revenge on me and kill me at their will. You see, what do you believe? You see, I really acted stupidly and I was just a human being who had curiosity and a desire to try something new and strange. Or do you believe that I intended to do this to my friends and hurt them for my personal goal, for example? You see, do you really believe that I have a role in death like my friends? Or do you think that I sacrificed or gave them a sacrifice to the devil and the jinn to achieve something for myself, for example? There is no third solution. Either I sacrifice my curiosity and stupidity to the other world, or I become a murderer and a criminal and I know what I am doing. Don't answer me. Does it have a scenario or a third solution? Yes, it has a third solution. The third solution is that I am not Hesham at all. Isn't it? Who told you that I am Hesham? Did I say that I am Hesham when I started telling the story? You concluded that as long as Majid, Ahmad and Abdullah died and I tell the story, it will be understood that I am Hesham. But in fact, when I started to feel that you will understand, I said, let me continue this story. You thought that I am Hesham as Abdullah, Ahmad and Majid were sure that I am Hesham as my family, and all of them knew that I am Hesham. Let me tell you the story in a different way. I know that you like to hear the nonsense like this, nonsense that makes your curiosity grow bigger and bigger. You like to listen more about this world and search and look for the curiosity that takes you to a madhouse like Hesham went to a madhouse exactly. Should I tell you how the story came, or should I tell you who I am first? I think I don't need to tell you who I am. I am sure that some of you I don't understand what I'm about to say. Namin, those who don't understand will understand what I'm about to say. What happened, ladies and gentlemen, is that Hisham was crazy about reading and listening to horror stories. And not just any horror stories. These are stories about the jinn and the ghouls. All of them are fabricated stories. Even the truth won't hurt you if you hear it. The harm is that you allow your curiosity to make you see or read the incantations and try to break the chains and try what you're doing. The idea is that Hisham did this. He intervened in what he didn't mean. He thought he could get into the other world and get out of it easily. Stupid. Honestly, it was a great opportunity for me. Hisham tried to try a lot of incantations on his own. And because of one of these incantations, he died. You'll ask me how he died and his family didn't feel it? I'll tell you, he died and disappeared for 2 or 3 days and never came back. But I'm the one who came back. I'm the one who took my chance and was reincarnated. I'm a jinn and I was dead. And our community is trying to take advantage of any chance to bring anyone back to life again. Even if he has a weaker power. It's not normal for any jinn to be weaker than his true power as a jinn. And the idea of coming back is not random. Our community chooses a number of specific jinn who take advantage of the opportunity and bring them back to life. I'm one of the jinn who, according to my community, was righteous. And I have a big and influential role. And I had 3 friends who were jinn and died as well. We all died while we were carrying out our mission. We all died while we were trying to bring some humans like you to our world. Some of us were trapped in a grave until they died. Some of us were burned to death. And those who decided to commit suicide before a stronger power like Shiak and Kasawiza came and answer us and burn us while we are attached to a human and try to get us out of him. So instead of confessing and saying any information, we decide to commit suicide. Don't you notice anything? Isn't this the same ending or the same death of Ahmad, Majid and Abdullah? The one who committed suicide. The one who went down to the grave. The one who turned the car and got burned. You might ask me, how did Hisham die? Or more precisely, how did I die and Hisham had to die the same way I did in order to be able to embody his identity and personality? I died a bomb. And Hisham was trying to commit suicide. He was alone in his apartment and he exploded. But wait a minute. He didn't explode in the literal sense that you know. He burned himself. Literally. If you try to search for the literal meaning of burning yourself, you will find that the body from the inside gets a very high degree of heat. I don't understand why. It makes the person explode and turn into ashes or evaporate from the intensity of the burn or suddenly burn. This is the same thing that happened to Hisham. But the high degree of heat or the burning itself that happened to him did not happen by chance. My friend is the one who decided to do this because of his transgressions and his attempts to penetrate our world. Of course, you are thinking of a lot of questions. Who was writing in Majid's diaries and Ahmed's message? Who sent a message from Ahmed's cell phone while we were in his wedding? And who wrote in Majid's diaries that the turn is coming for each one of us? Especially on the day we went to the cemetery where we found him. I don't need you to think a lot. It's me. I wrote it. Who was seen by each one of them before his death? Majid saw a black shadow. Ahmad saw a scary man with a long black beard. And of course, Abdullah also saw someone. Who are they? No, they are not me. They are the dead jinns. These are the ones who will take each one of them's place. Majid saw the one who will take his place, as well as Ahmad and Abdullah. But how will they come back to life and take advantage of these bodies after they are buried? See, curiosity made you ask questions you don't know how. This is our job. This is the job of our tribe. But I will comfort you and tell you that it is not a problem. Our tribe opens the graves and takes these bodies. And then we can, in our way, and you don't have to ask about it at all, bring back the jinn who is supposed to return to the human body in which we took his body. If you went and opened the graves now, whether it was Ahmad, Majid, or Abdullah's grave, you will not find their bodies. And to save you the question, I, as Hesham, asked my family to travel because my mind is tired after the death of all my companions. And I need to go away. And I really traveled. I traveled and told you this story from another country among my companions, Abdullah, Ahmad, and Majid. If you like the episode and want to hear more stories, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, of course, from this red button if you are not subscribed.